Negro Rebellion. 1. View source. Negro Rebellion. Part of the Banana Wars. Date 1912. Location Cuba. Result rebellion suppressed. Belligerents Cuba. The Negro Rebellion, also known as the Little Race War, the War of 1912, or the 12, was an armed conflict in Cuba, taking place mainly in the eastern region of the island in 1912. The conflict involved the widespread massacre of Afro-Cubans by the Cuban Army and an intervention by the United States military. Both the massacre and the presence of American troops quelled the violence, so the unrest and the occupation ended after only a few weeks.
The question is, who are the Afro-Cubans? How interesting. This is why I say when them use the Afro, we just know say the so-called black people, or the dark people, or the colored people, as they would say, or the Bantu people, or the Indian people, with all these labels, because it's all labels. And when we see Fidel Castro, enough of we glorify and worship and see an image, and I image that, irrespective of what him do or say, because him is a whole CIA operative anyway. Yeah, man. A man there we call a plant, or a mole, or a pond. But our people now go really accept them things, because you don't know what it is. We glorify and worship all kind of things. All kind of creative things and creation. Ignore the creative power and source. Yeah, man, so it is interesting.
Weeks. Background. The Independent Party of Color played a central role in the conflict. Under the leadership of Evaristo Estenos, the party quickly gained the support of a large number of Afro-Cubans, which annoyed President José Miguel Gómez. Conditions in Cuba were poor for the black inhabitants, most of whom were employed in the sugarcane industry. Estenos led a movement to better the conditions, which first started the unsuccessful War of 1895. In 1912, the Independent Party of Color had regrouped to stage another armed rebellion. In early 1912, affairs in Cuba showed signs of unrest among the Negroes, so the American government sent a detachment of 688 officers and enlisted Marines to Guantanamo Naval Base. The force was under the command of Major George C. Thorpe, and originally intended to be used against rebels in Mexico. It arrived at Guantanamo Bay on March 13th. Meanwhile, Estenos and his followers were preparing to wage war. Though they were lightly armed, the rebels numbered several hundred men, mainly peasants. Estenos Rebellion. On May 20th, Estenos and his men confronted the Cuban army. Fighting took place mainly in Orient Province, while there were also a few minor outbreaks of violence in the west, particularly in Las Villas Province. Initially, the rebels were successful in engaging the Cuban forces, which included soldiers and militia. So on May 23rd, President Gómez requested aid from President William H. Taft, who approved the idea, according to the Platt Amendment. Additional Marines were called for. The first detachment arrived on May 28th, landing at Deer Point, Guantanamo Bay, to link up with Major Thorpe's battalion. Colonel Lincoln Carmody was in command of this new force, designated the 1st Provisional Regiment of Marines. It numbered 32 officers and 777 enlisted men. 3. The 2nd Provisional Regiment of Marines was also en route, under Colonel James E. Mahoney. The 2nd Regiment included 1,292 officers and men. They first sailed to Key West, aboard 10 United States Navy battleships from the Atlantic Fleet. After receiving instructions, most of the fleet headed for Guantanamo Bay, arriving on June 7th, while 1 battalion was landed at Havana on June 10th. USS Mississippi landed her detachment at El Cuero on June 19th. Of the 1,292 men who landed at Guantanamo, only 1 battalion would be deployed. Colonel Carmody took command of all the unassigned troops. Together, the American forces in Cuba totaled 2,789 officers and men, and were organized into the 1st Provisional Marine Brigade. About half of which were sent to occupy various towns and cities in eastern Cuba. The rest remained at the naval base. June saw Estenoz rapidly losing control of his territory to the Cuban military, which was dispersing large bands of the rebels, as well as innocents. Rebel forces numbered at least 3,000 men, but by June there was an estimated 1,800 left, the rest having been killed. The Marines were assigned to protect the American-owned sugarcane plantations and their associated properties, as well as copper mines, railroads, and trains. The Afro-Cubans attacked the Marines only once at El Cuero, but were repulsed without casualties to either side. 4. President Gomez offered amnesty to any of the rebels who surrendered by June 22nd, but Estenoz refused and he continued to fight, with a few hundred men. Most of the rebels did surrender though, and by the end of June the majority had returned to their homes. The turning point in the war was when Estenoz was killed by government forces at Miraca on June 27, 135. Government victory. Estenoz's death resulted in the splintering of the rebel army into small factions, which were all eventually defeated. The most important was that of Ivanette Peter, who took his men into the mountains to wage a guerrilla war. However, he was driven out by the mid-July. Soon after Peter's surrender, Gomez announced that the American Marines were no longer needed, so they began to withdraw, first to the naval base at Guantanamo, and then to stations in the United States. The last Marines to leave Cuba embarked USS Prairie on August 2nd and sailed for New England. For the Afro-Cubans, they lost between 3,000 to 6,000 killed, both combatants and non-combatants, and the results of the rebellion were disastrous. Conditions in Cuba largely remained the same after 1912, except for the Independent Party of Color, which was dissolved 1-3. References 1.01.11.
Again, information share. May I tell you? More time, we just find it interesting. United States occupation of Dominican Republic. And we just as the United States are going with itself. Let's see what this has said.
United States occupation of the Dominican Republic, 1916 to 1924. View source. United States occupation of the Dominican Republic. The United States occupation of the Dominican Republic occurred from 1916 to 1924. It was one of the many interventions in Latin America undertaken by American military forces. On May 13, 1916, Rear Admiral William B. Caperton forced the Dominican Republic's Secretary of War Desiderio Arias, who had seized power from Juan Isidro Jimenez Pereira, to leave Santo Domingo by threatening the city with naval bombardment. 1. Contents. 1. Occupation. Occupation. 3 days after Arias left the country, United States Marines landed and took control of the country within 2 months. And in November the United States imposed a military government under Rear Admiral Harry Shepard Knapp. The Marines restored order throughout most of the Republic, with the exception of the eastern region. The country's budget was balanced, its debt was diminished, and economic growth resumed. Infrastructure projects produced new roads that linked all the countries. Regions for the first time in its history, a professional military organization, the Dominican Constabulary Guard, replaced the partisan forces that had waged a seemingly endless struggle for power. 2. Most Dominicans, however, greatly resented the loss of their sovereignty to foreigners, few of whom spoke Spanish or displayed much real concern for the welfare of the Republic. A guerrilla movement, known as the Gavilleros, leaders such as General Ramon Natira, enjoyed considerable support from the population in the eastern provinces of El Ceibo and San Pedro de Macorís. Having knowledge of the local terrain, they fought against the United States occupation from 1917 to 1921. 3. American naval forces maintained order during a period of chronic and threatened insurrection. RL 301723. In 1921, the Gavilleros were crushed due to scorched earth tactics. Superior air power, firepower, and counterinsurgency methods of the United States military. 1. Withdrawal. After World War I, public opinion in the United States began to run against the occupation. Warren G. Harding, who succeeded Wilson in March 1921, had campaigned against the occupations of both Haiti and the Dominican Republic. In June 1921, United States representatives presented a withdrawal proposal, known as the Harding Plan, which called for Dominican ratification of all acts of the military government, approval of a loan of $2.5 million for public works and other expenses, the acceptance of United States officers for the constabulary, now known as the National Guard, Guardia Nacional, and the holding of elections under United States supervision. Popular reaction to the plan was overwhelmingly negative. Moderate Dominican leaders, however, used the plan as the basis for further negotiations that resulted in an agreement between U.S. Secretary of State Charles Evans Hughes and Dominican Ambassador to the United States Francisco J. Peynado on June 30, 1922, 4. Allowing for the selection of a provisional president to rule until elections could be organized. Under the supervision of High Commissioner Sumner Welles, Juan Bautista Vicini Burgos assumed the provisional presidency on October 21, 1922. In the presidential election of March 15, 1924, Horacio Vázquez Lajara, an American ally who cooperated with the United States government, handily defeated Peynado. Vázquez's alliance party, Partido Alianza, also won a comfortable majority in both houses of Congress. With his inauguration on July 13, control of the Republic returned to Dominican hands. Aftermath. Despite the withdrawal, there were still concerns regarding the collection and application of the country's custom revenues. To address this problem, representatives of the United States and the Dominican Republic governments met at a convention and signed a treaty on December 27, 1924, which gave the United States control over the country's custom revenues. In 1941, the treaty was officially repealed and control over the country's custom revenues was again returned to Dominican Republic government. However, this treaty created lasting resentment of the United States among the people of the Dominican Republic. 6.
Again, give thanks. Information share. So here we see how the United States invade the Dominican Republic. And this is in 1916 to 1924. So now you can see the distinction with Haiti and the Dominican Republic. We just share information accordingly. Just like how there was Cuban will look like I, and then the people come in and persecute those ones. It's no different with all of these so-called Caribbean islands, including this one, now called Jamaica, where after a while, when you hear Jamaica, you're going to see image of the senator. That senator guy there. I'm going to retain and recall them name. I have to see them image and them name for that, roll it out. I don't know these people. I can't resonate with these kind of people. Yeah, man, and them people I do not know I and cannot resonate with I and I people. And me I talk about that image where you see of the Tavares Finson, the senator of the government of Jamaica. That's the Jamaican image. Going forward, you won't see the Negro type or the Bantu type. This is why you have so much foreign women coming our land with their money and buy up with foreign man them. This is why the renter dread was so prevalent at one time. Where every foreigner come upon the island, them have a dread. Them have a tall ear man. And them usually get them on the north coast and them place them for rent until them could have come in the city and nobody have for rent. Just a tall ear man. Them rent everybody. I could have remember seeing all the young youth. This was years ago. Me in my community and walk go to the store and I say a young youth. And fame woman is a white woman who look older than fame grandmother. But I drive a pretty white car and that hype. And it's a plethora of these things. You have the youth them now go on the internet and that's how them I try to get up. You have to find a foreign woman for bus and married and live out of Jamaica. While if them find them true self-knowing, so them are the true people of this land, then they need all of the permission from the foreign guy to traverse, to move across them own land. Them just have to know so them lawful and correct. No interfere or harm no one. But if you're a subject citizen, it not apply to you. Cannot. You voluntarily, give your consent. You delegate your authority to be governed by a political corporate body. But them basic truth, your people. But it will elude us because of the distractions. Yeah, man. We say we're in a Cuba, the people them look like I was there first. And then some other guy come in and placed there by the CIA, and then them guys said, this is Castro or Castro House. All of these people, I'm telling you, so them associate with these kind of organizations. And when we say CIA, that are just a term where everybody can identify with as, one of them intelligence agency there. But it's a plethora of them. These nations, all of these foreign nations have these things, and them all work together. Tell us that the world is a stage, it's a theater. This is why them I use acts of Congress. That's why I tell them act of Congress and Parliament now apply to a man like I. I'm gonna put that in writing. And them know it, them have that information. If it's only one man, if it's only one, it have to start somewhere. The idea have to start somewhere. And what them all of us as vloggers I bring forward were commercially inclined. And I hit that. Or where some of the vloggers them where I bring where the truth is so strange. It's like fiction. So I want to just look past that. At those vloggers now, with the small view, and them I come with some information where you have to say, oh, yo, them things are real. And most of the time, them people are usually live and a experience. Well, we have to give thanks for this time because the information just a flow, but the distraction, a flow very, you'd say parallel. to the truth. It's right there. The deception is right there alongside the truth. And that are going out there. But in order for you to get a big view, you have to say, hey, this is finance, and this is how you can get out of finance, and this is how you can get money, and this is how you can get credit, and this is all of these things. And then you see a platform grow with this delusion. What the truth then? Who are control these things? Who are govern these things? Where you say Congress, then who is Congress? Who are these people? What's these people's point of origin? How we not challenge that? How we for them on the mainland and I look out and now look on what going within there. That's the seed of the new Babylon. That's why them are call the United States, which is a corporation, modern day Egypt. Now it is a melting pot. Them totally ignore the original people, their life and their culture. Them come here with them corrupt and polluted ways because them are try escape for them religious persecution and bring all light around here and spoil our people. Now it's up to us to untangle the web where these foreign people bring here. Because we show us all different places where bare foreign people exist in these places. But every one of these foreign people have them tentacles somewhere in our location. Every single one of them. Why is that? If Africa is the holy land, what una do over here? If Africa is the holy land, the land of milk and honey, what are you guys doing here? You just discover us and now try, annihilate us on paper. But sad to say, just like in the days at Noah, when Noah say, yo, watch out, It's like I Noah say, yo, watch out, and everything where, we are acknowledged is deserving of such, really. We can choose to believe in a lie. That's a free will exercise. But once truth come forward, then there's no excuse. Plausible deniability is out the window. It's either you're a part of that foreign construct, which is foreign to us as a people, or you're not. It's either you're in her or you're out of her. It's a free will exercise. And Babylon have a way to entice our people with material trinkets, material things. Yet we are the people of the land, and from the land derive everything. This is why they have to remove you, at least psychologically, mentally, from your land and a place in an imaginary location. Because when them say Africa, they're not specific. Some ones want to go to Ethiopia. Some ones want to go to South Africa. But when we start look and study Africa, now we smile at it. And I say, boy, look at this mess. I am he. Yeah, man. I am the one who I have to wonder about. When I come, like how we say, everybody else are bringing. And we are staying in our lane. We not leave out of our lane. We're unique, man. We are do the things where Uno cannot do and now go choose to do. Yeah, man, and we now come from an ex-government employee. My father wasn't a police officer, nor my mother. And when my mother is a school teacher as an arm of the government, that's all it is. But my father wasn't a police officer nor a government employee. In fact, he was the opposite. So when a lot of guys come out here and a talk and a show about all over the place, and all we have to do is say, boy, how them people here, man? Where them come from? What's their origin again? You run them back door and them back line and you see what going around at that side where everybody else now look. You know? You just walk me front gate or move to the side gate and go around the backyard and I look. Sometimes the back door left open. And then you say, oh, and what these people truly are. Ex-government agent, ex-government employee, some of them still government employee, some of them retired. So them interests are always politically motivated. So when them are born the political system, yeah, when I pay attention, I say, oh, okay, so you're back for that side there over there, sir. And then when you listen to our next group of ones, you say, oh, so you would have on the next side there. And you say, according to Wagwan, a man bring up all of the political trash on the Labour Party as a vlogger, and then our next vlogger just bring up all the political trash on the PNP party. And the populace just eat it up when me I look upon it as politics. But again, our point of view is always different. And it can be entertaining, because I really entertain myself or observe these things. However, we still have to have a voice where I bring a different view, a different perspective, a different concept with context. And, you know, it's necessary. It is always necessary. And them always say the race is not for the swift, but for the one who can endure to the victorious end. So it's not for the swift or the strong, but to the ones where, you know, persevere. And boy, we have to just take it step by step. Yeah, man. Stages by stages, moment by moment. Yeah, man. Those who have eyes to see, let them see. And those who have ears to hear, let them hear. Somebody have to wake up these people who say they are awake. Have to remind them that there is such a thing as sleepwalking, daydreaming, all these things, illusionary things. How can you be awake when you know you're attached to a foreign construct? That's by its very nature, it's oppressive. Because it restricts you from exercising your free will. It tell you, say, you require permission to act, to think, or to be. You need a license for that. And that is okay. That's the sheep mentality. That's the chattel mentality. That's the slave mentality. Whether you like it or not, you can be a very rich slave, or you can be just another peasant, but still a slave. Let's get out of our captivity. Let's remove these imaginary chains and throw off these yokes and burden from us. It's all foreign to us. Let's choose to be free and live free. Because at every stage, every step, we are showing information so the people where you delegate your authority to have other people direct their actions You understand? So when you delegate it to Andrew of Bill Gates, I tell him what to do. Or somebody out of China, I tell him what to do. But you believe in an Andrew. You put your faith and trust in an Andrew. But Andrew have faith and trust in a something else. Somewhere else. And my people, again, history keep repeating itself. And my people keep being duped. Anyway, give thanks and praise.